Welcome to the Medium in the Middle podcast. I'm your host, Stephanie, the Medium in the Middle. On this podcast, I share my journey as a developing psychic medium, as a Reiki master teacher, as an Akashic record practitioner, and anything else that's thrown my way. Join me every week. I release new episodes every Tuesday. Hello. Welcome to episode 84. I tried for an Adele moment there, but I'm not a singer as much as I try. I am not. So hello from the other side. That could be a Ghost reference. Hello from the other side. Wow, I don't normally start off with a joke, but I'm on fire today. Hello from inside your ears, or if you're not listening on earphones, just a normal hello to you. Welcome back to the Medium in the Middle podcast. I'm your host. I'm Stephanie, the Medium in the Middle. So for episode 84 today, we have a good one. Me and Tayta had a mediumship reading, and I hyped this up on Instagram, and I learned some lessons, so I'm going to share the good, the bad, and the ugly with you guys about this experience, what I learned. I'm excited I had this experience. I am glad that I learned this lesson, and I'm glad that I tried. I'm going to say that. So, announcements very quickly. What do we have going on? We have the meeting in the middle is this Thursday. If you want to join me, it is Thursday, the 27th of May. We are talking about boundaries, how to set boundaries with spirit and in your personal life. So if you're having trouble setting boundaries, join us for this workshop. If you can't make it live, it is recorded. Everybody gets the replay. So that's this Thursday. You can register with the link down below. And very exciting news. Pum. That was drums. Anyways, we have Reiki courses live, my friends. Yes, the long-awaited Reiki courses. I know they sell out quickly. I've had a wait list for these ones, but there's still some spots left. So if you have been waiting for a Reiki course, right now, as you're listening to this, they are live. The link to register is down below. We have Reiki Level 1 is August 7th and 8th, and Reiki Level 2 is July 24th and 25th. Now, there's very limited spots, but go and grab yours. Reiki Level 1 and Reiki Level 2 are live. The link is down in the show notes. So I think I'm going to save the card pull to the end of this episode because I really want to just jump in and share. And I want to see what the card says at the end of the episode. So I haven't pulled it yet. I'm going to wait. So here we go. Steph and Tayta, and unexpectedly my mom, have a mediumship reading with the beautiful, wonderful, and talented medium named Bree. If you need a mediumship reading, go see her. She is incredible at what she does. I know that she is also booked, so pay attention for when she opens more dates on her Instagram because it was so amazing, especially from a mediumship's perspective. I've had a lot of mediumship readings, practice readings. I have a lot of friends that are mediums now, and I just really love how she delivers. So I want to start this story with the original plan. So the original plan pre the pandemic was not even pre the pandemic, pre-third lockdown, was that two of my friends were getting married and I was supposed to be going to Ontario a few weeks ago. So I booked this session thinking that I would be with Tayta. Okay, so I thought that I was going to be in Ontario with her, and I booked a 2-person reading so that her and I could be there. And I kind of told Bree, this reading isn't for me, it's for Tayta. I'm just here to interpret because Tayta is 87 and her second language is English. So it's just like everything needs to be said slower and repeated and just said so that she listens. So that was my original plan. But then we're in lockdown, Ontario's in lockdown, and I didn't want to go and see her and all my family when everyone's supposed to be at home. So I canceled my trip, and I debated canceling the reading. And I was like, should I cancel the reading? Because it's going to be really hard if I'm not there. And I asked my mom if she wanted to have the reading with Tayta instead, so she could be there and I wouldn't be there. And my mom said no, she didn't want to. She wasn't comfortable. And I was like, okay. I was like, well, can you set her up on the computer and then I'll be on the computer? But Tayta has never been on Zoom. And I was like, this is just presenting more and more challenges. So my mom said yes, she'll set Tayta up on Zoom, but she wasn't going to stay for the reading. So I thought, okay, you know what? I have this booked. We're going to go ahead with it. I didn't have like a strong no not to do it. I just had like this isn't going to be how I wanted it to be, but we're going to try. So I want to back it up even further before I go forward. So this all came to be because I had a medium named Brie on the podcast. And before she came on the podcast, we like chatted on the phone for hours. And she did a little reading for me and she pulled through my grandpa. Now, like I said, I've had a lot of mediumship readings. I've been in mediumship development circles. I am a medium, so I can talk to dead people. But I never get my grandpa, ever. I've never had anyone else pull my grandpa through. It's always my grandma on my dad's side and my grandpa on my dad's side. But I've never really had my grandpa come through. So when she pulled my grandpa through and like provided evidence to a T, I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. And I felt so good. So I obviously told my grandma about this experience, my Tayta. So I was telling Tayta about what Jiddu was saying. Jiddu's my grandpa who's passed. And I was like, Jiddu said this, and Jiddu was eating bread, and Jiddu was this. And my Tayta like just was like, oh, who's that girl? How's she know those things? And she was like kind of interested. And she brought up, quote unquote, that girl for like a week after. And then she's like, so that girl, how did she know? So that girl, where does she live? And she kept talking about it. So then I kind of was like, I wonder if maybe like she would like a reading. So I said like, Tayta, do you want me to like set up an appointment with you? And she didn't really understand that. So it took me a few days to get her to understand like what an appointment is. Like, does she want to try this? Is she interested? And she kept bringing up that girl. So I was like, okay, I think she wants this. Like, I think she's willing to try. And at first she was like, well, couldn't you do it? And I was like, well, yeah, but she's really good, Tayta. Like, she's really good. And she already got Jiddu through and it was really good. So I just think it would be really cool if you got to see it. And she said, okay. So she agreed that she wanted the reading. And like, she was like, yeah, call the girl and make an appointment. And I still remember, I think I shared this on Instagram. When she finally said that, yes, she wanted the appointment, she was like, okay, well, call her and ask her if she wants to do it for us. And I was like, well, Tayta, it doesn't work that way. Like, we just book the appointment or we don't book the appointment. And she books months in advance. So when I book now, it's not for months. And she goes, okay, well, just call her and see if she wants to do it for us. And I was like, okay. So I just went along with it. And I told Brie, and I was like, okay, so my grandma thinks I'm asking you. I just think it's really funny. So I went back and a few days later and I was like, oh, Tayta, I asked that girl. And she said, yeah, she'll do it for us. And my grandma was like, she did. And I was like, yeah, so I booked us an appointment, but it's not for a few more months. It's going to be when I'm in Ontario. And she said, oh, okay. So she said, yes. Wow. That's so nice. And I was like, yeah, she's not Italian. I don't know why I just did an Italian accent. So I was like, yes. I'm like, she said, yes. I made us an appointment. It's in a few months. So that was kind of that. So a few weeks leading up to the appointment, it was like 3 weeks, I was like trying to remind her that in 3 Mondays from now, we have the appointment, because I wanted to start to like prepare her for what to expect, because I knew that there was going to be hurdles. There was going to be, number 1, she's never been on Zoom before. Number 2, I was going to be on a computer. Number 3, we would both be on the computer, so no one would be beside her to kind of talk her through it. And she's never had a mediumship reading. There's no way that I could explain this any better. She's not going to know how to like figure out evidence. So I had to slowly have her understand like what the hell we're doing and how's it going to work. So I started 3 weeks before and I call her every day. You guys know I call her every day. So every day I call her and I tell her what I'm eating for breakfast. And I was like, okay, so in a few weeks we have our appointment with that girl. And she's like, oh, yeah. And I was like, so if you have any questions that you maybe want to ask, you could prepare them. She's like, what type of questions should I be asking her? And I was like, well, like anything that you want to know. You said you want to know how your mom died. You said you want to know, how your sister's doing. She's like, yeah, okay, I could ask her those questions. And then she's like, what else should I be doing? Is she coming over? Am I making lunch? And I was like, no, you're not making lunch. It's on the computer. So you're going to be on the computer. I'm going to be on the computer. And she's going to be on the computer. Okay? And she's going to say things to you. And we have to figure out who it is. It's kind of like a game. So she's going to say some things to us. And we have to see who it is, because you have a lot of dead people. So you're going to have a lot of people that you could talk to. She said, okay. So that's nice. She said yes to do it for us. And I was like, yeah, okay. So over the next 3 weeks, this was what the conversations was. I would tell her how many more days until our appointment. And then I would kind of try to prepare her of what it was going to be like. So she lives with her sister, as you guys know, my aunt, and my aunt didn't want to be a part of it either. So I'm not saying that my families are not believers, but they're not believers. I would say they're skeptics and they're very religious. So I was actually very, very proud that my grandma even said yes and was going to try this, even after I explained it to her and stuff, because I really was expecting her to say no, or she didn't want to. But I was like, you know what? She's not doing anything. She just stays at home. Might as well give her an experience that she never had. And I heard Brie talk about on her Instagram how she got to read for an older woman in her 80s. And it was so cool because they had so many people to talk to. And I just got me thinking, and I was like, my Tayta would have so many people to talk to. And all her family has passed. Like, she had brothers and sisters and her mom and her dad, and she didn't get to see a lot of them, which I didn't think of, but which means she doesn't know much about how they died. So that also made it for a difficult reading, but we're getting there. So it's weeks leading up to it. Now we're a week out, and I start to remind her every day. So I say, Tayta, next Monday is our session. Is it today? And I was like, no, next Monday. Oh, okay. And I was like, all right, so you can talk to Jiddu, maybe your mom. And I was like, but you got to think about who you want to come. You got to think about them. She's like, okay. And she was pretty cool about it. She was pretty oh yeah, let's do it. And I was like, okay. So then we're the day before the reading, and I say to Tayta, all right, Tayta, it's tomorrow. So mom's going to come set up the computer for you, and then me and you are going to be on the call, and it's tomorrow. So I'm going to call you and remind you. And then she said, okay, and your mom's going to call and remind me too. And I was like, okay, so call you tomorrow. She said, okay. So Monday, I call her at 1 o'clock my time, and I say, all right, it's today. And she's like, okay, your mom's already here. She went to the flower shop. And I was like, okay, perfect. Everybody's there. We're all ready. And I text my mom, and I'm like, just a reminder, it's 5 o'clock your time. And then my Tayta's like, my time or your time? And I'm like, 5 o'clock your time, 3 o'clock my time. I was like, okay. So then I don't hear from anyone for a few hours, and I'm like, what the hell's going on? So it's 10 minutes before, so I call my mom. And I was like, hey, mom, how's it going? She's like, oh, I just realized Tayta's computer doesn't have video, and I brought my laptop, but I can't hook up to the internet, and we're trying to figure it out. Call me back. And I was like, okay. And then I was like, don't freak out. So I messaged my cousin, and I was trying to get the Wi-Fi password for my mom and all these things. And I'm like, I'm so sure we're realizing this 9 minutes before our session starts. So I never get a call back from them. So I'm like, okay, I'm just going to assume that it's fine. So this is when, I don't want to say chaos begins, but the chaos begins. So I get on the call, and I, at this point, don't even have a chance to warn Brie about what she's walking into. And I get on the call, and I see another person is on the call, another computer. And I was like, okay, that means that they're connected, but there's no video and there's no sound. So I'm trying to message my mom and be like, do you have video? Do you have sound? And I'm like, okay, let's just wait. They were having computer problems. And then we finally get on, and there's no video, but there's sound. So then we switch on to the phone, and then my mom's still trying to set up the computer. So then she's setting that up. So it takes a few minutes, and whatever, we're going. And I'm like, okay, you know what? I booked 2 people, and I booked a longer time because I kind of expected this, I'm not going to be there. And this is fine. So then, we're starting, and she's saying her little speech, And my mom's like, I'm not staying. And I'm like, okay. But then she stayed the whole time. So I was like, okay. So Bree starts saying her speech, and the opening speech when you're calling in spirit. And we're trying to be like, okay, Tayta, if you don't understand anything, tell us. If she needs to go slower, just tell us. She's like, okay. So she's talking, and then my Tayta's nodding her head. And then I hear her whisper to my mom, I can't really hear her. And my mom goes, well, do you have your hearing aid on? And my Tayta goes, no. And then she's like, what do you mean you don't have your hearing aid on? So then we pause, and my Tayta has to get up and go get her hearing aid. And I'm just sitting there shaking my head, like mouthing, I'm sorry to Bree. So she goes, she gets her hearing aid, she comes back, and she sits down, and we try again. So I want to say the reading was amazing. A lot of people came through, and it was very, very interesting. But I learned a very big lesson. Number one, when I say that I don't let people buy gift cards for me, for others, because you can't force an experience on someone else, I immediately was like, why did I do this? Why did I force this on my grandma? Did I force this on my grandma? Did she actually want this? Was this for me? Was this whole train wreck all my fault? Because my grandma was kind of lost through it. Like Tayta was kind of like, she kept being like, hi, how are you? What's the weather like over there? And Bree was very amazing. She was answering her questions and like trying to stay on track. She kept going off and like telling stories about different people, and she like really wanted to talk, like a conversation. And it was funny because my mom's like trying to get her to stop talking and be like, we're paying this girl by the minute, like shut up. And it was just hilarious because my mom wasn't supposed to be there or stay. So she was like trying to keep Tayta in line, but then they were also sitting in the middle of the dining room. So people were coming and going out of Tayta's house. So she kept getting distracted and like having conversations with people. So like at one point her sister came in the room and she's like, hey, what are you doing? And my mom's trying to be like, stay focused. And Tayta's like, we're on the computer. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And then my brother came in at one point. And he was like yelling like, hi, everybody. And I'm just sitting there like so embarrassed. I was like, why did I think this was a good idea? And then at one point we were trying to figure out who sewed blankets, and then she's like, well, my sister that's still alive sews blankets. And then my mom's like, your grandma sews blankets. I'm like, no. I'm also a medium, so I know who she's channeling. I'm like, she's not talking to my grandma. We're talking about Tayta's sister here. And then everyone's yelling about who's sewing blankets. My Tayta wanted to show Bria something that one of her sisters had made, so she was trying to show her the tablecloth. And I'm just laughing. And I had muted myself on the Zoom at this point because it was almost comical how everyone was trying to talk at the same time. My Tayta's trying to tell a story. My mom's trying to get my Tayta to be quiet. Bree's just trying to deliver a message. The poor girl, I'm mouthing I'm sorry in the corner, just on mute, shaking my head. And it was an experience. I definitely sent Bree an apology message being like, I'm sorry, I tried my best. I understand that was a train wreck, but you really brought through some amazing messages. So I want to talk about all the good that came from it, because I was a little, I don't even want to say disappointed, because I definitely expected it to go exactly the way it went. And I should have known better, but I just learned the lesson. And I was like, I say this all the time. I say, don't buy gift cards for others. I say, you can't have the same experience as you want to give for others. I know that my mom definitely didn't want to do it, but I know Tayta maybe thought she was doing me a favor, maybe thought I wanted her to do this. I don't know. But I was like, I know this. Why did I even try, but why did I even try? So again, Bree is an amazing medium, and she pulled through amazing evidence that I wrote down and at least I absorbed. And I don't think Tayta really could understand it, because it's, yes, things she already knew. My mom said afterwards, what'd you expect her to get? It's everything she already knew. Yes, what do you think they're going to tell you? Something you don't know? If you didn't know it, how would you resonate with it? So just like she said things about how my grandpa didn't want to use his cane and he was very stubborn. She talked about how they used to go get ice cream and they'd go for a car drive to go get ice cream. And that's something that we always used to do. We always used to go to Dairy Freeze to get ice cream. So that was like a really, really cool message, because he's like, let's get in the car and go for ice cream kind of thing. He talked about how his name has been passed down. He tried to remind her to walk, but she didn't want to hear it because he's like, you have to walk, get out and walk. He talked about how proud he was about like landing and how he reinvented home and family like in Canada. Even though they were away from their family, they like made their own family here. She talked about like, so some things in Lebanon, which was funny. She was saying about goats and things that they would have back in Lebanon. So that was really cool. Like when Tayta was younger, Tayta's two sisters came through, an old family friend, one of our aunts came through who used to live in the States, and they used to drive back and forth to see each other. So she got a lot of good stuff about that. She talked about how she always made desserts and they were always bringing food back and forth to each other. So that made Tayta laugh and smile, kind of remembering that aunt. My Jiddu talked about how he knows that she still has the wedding ring on, how he talks to her, how she still talks to him, and how they have breakfast together and stuff like that. He's like, I'm always around you. He talked about like the business that they have. It was just like really cool to hear. And I think that she understood. I mean, of course, I hope the best, but I really still think that she got a lot out of it. Brie had a lot of cool things and like good pieces of evidence. And another thing that I learned through this whole experience, or I don't want to say I learned, I should say I was reminded, is how hard it is to be a sitter. Because it's hard to be the medium side of it because it's like that charades and you don't really know what you're seeing and you're trying to decipher it. And one reason why I really like Brie is when she delivers her messages, she like really sticks to it. So 3 times in the hour and a half, she brought up this tea set. She's like, I keep seeing this tea set. And we're like, no. Like, we don't drink tea. Like, I don't get it. And then she brought it up the 3rd time. So we're like, okay, let us think about this. Let us think. And then we're like, oh my gosh, Lebanese coffee cups are these little tiny cups and they look like a teacup. Like me as a medium, if I saw them in my third eye, I would say that's a teacup and I even know what this coffee cup is. So it took us 3 times to be like, oh my gosh, it's the coffee cups that she's talking about. So that was cool, but I just remember like how hard it is to be the mediums because you're trying to get the evidence and you're trying to get things that people will say yes to and people will be able to recognize and things that will confirm to you that we're talking to your loved ones and it's an actual message that you want to hear. But then, because of interpretation, being the sitter is also so hard because you're trying to place all these things. Remember, did we go to New York? Did we take a train anywhere? Did we, all of these things that are coming through as memories, which are meant to, spark that thing inside you. So it was really interesting because I haven't been a sitter in a while and I was like, wow, it's also hard on this side. You're just like scribbling down everything that she said, trying to place it. And it's so true. Things that don't come through or don't make sense when you're sitting in front of, the medium will definitely make sense later on. But there was a few things where I'm like, I know how this works. Like, tell me everything you're getting and we'll figure out who it is afterwards. So there's still a few pieces of information that she gave that are floating around. And when we get names, I know that means something. Like you don't just get a name for no reason. So I still have to do some work following up on a few things that we couldn't place from the reading. But it just was like a good lesson. Like afterwards, I was a little disappointed and let down that I like couldn't be with Tayta and that it wasn't what I wanted it to be. And I thought that it was going to be this really cool thing and she would enjoy it so much. And even at the end of the session, like after we hung up on Zoom and said bye, and I called them, like my mom and my grandma, right away. And I just like knew that they were tired because they were just on Zoom for an hour and a half. And, and I didn't really think everything absorbed. So they're overwhelmed. And then I'm like, oh, shoot, I wish I was there. So it was hard. I learned a lot of lessons, but it was still an experience. And I think it's going to be an experience that I remember for a while, especially with Tayta, because she got to see my world. And even if she didn't fully understand it, she got a little taste of it. And it's something that I'll always remember. I have the recording and it was just, fun. Interesting and an experience, that's for sure. I did send a big apology to Brie afterwards, just being like, I'm sorry, that was chaos. I know that like readings are hard, number one, but when there's people that aren't supposed to be there, it makes it even harder. And then whoever was walking in the room, we were picking up on their energy, what makes it harder. And then Tayta couldn't really confirm yes or no. Sometimes she was just staring because I don't even know if she could hear everything or understand everything. And then we're trying to sort it out, but there's 3 of us when there's not supposed to be 3 of us. And I was like, I'm so sorry. I know that was chaotic. You did your best. And honestly, honestly, I really appreciated it. I don't know about anybody else, but it was fun. Another really cool thing that I learned was about, again, interpretation. So at one point, Bree was talking about cabbage rolls, and we're like, I don't know. And she was talking about how my grandpa says that my grandma's cabbage rolls are the best. And she does make cabbage rolls, but I was like, no, that's not it. And then it took us a while again to be like, oh my gosh, she's talking about grape leaves. She would have no idea what a grape leaf is. Like, she's like, what is that? And we're like, oh, it's literally a cabbage roll, but with a leaf instead of cabbage. So again, you just kind of pick things that are closest to what you know, and it's still the sitter's job to try to sort it out. So that's why, like, being a sitter is hard, because you're trying to figure it out, right? So I did record the session, so I'm going to try to share a little clip here. So this clip is where my grandpa was telling my grandma to go outside for a walk, and she has to keep walking and she has to keep moving, and this is just hilarious. So this starts off with Bree asking if she still goes for her walk every day.
No. I used to walk outside to go outside. But you used to go for walks? Not really. Yeah, but you have to work all the time.
So then Bree asks if she should be going for daily walks, like if the doctor recommended for her. Anyways, it was my grandpa trying to remind her to walk, and she was being hilarious.
No, you didn't say that.
Just telling you to walk, Tayta.
He told me to walk?
Yeah, he wants you to walk.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
No. I'm still walking in the house up and down there. It doesn't count, Mom. I have to walk outside? Yes. Okay.
So then Bree says, he says it's good for you. It's good for you. Like, go outside. Go walk outside. And then she goes,
Get him, I'm cold. I'm coming to see you.
not yet. And then she tried to say that she's going to see him soon. And we were like, no, you're not, young lady. You're stuck with us. And I always tell her, like, you still have to stay here and cook for us. Who's going to cook for us if you leave? She's like, oh, I don't know. So that's my recap of the reading with Tayta. It was a lesson, it was a hard lesson, I think, but I'm still happy that we did it. I'm still happy that it was an experience that we had together. So I think to end this episode, I'm going to pull what other than the Kyle Gray Angel deck. So I'm going to pull a card and ask, what do we need to know about this episode? What kind of guidance do we need? Let's see what the cards have to say. I think this is a one pull. I think we're going to do one card. I got the card Surrender. Surrender is a spiritual practice, and it's not an easy one, but angels are working in your favor, and their miracles will unfold with ease when you move into a state of trust. So call back your power and stop allowing external factors to divert you from the miracles you deserve. Take time to realize that in order to be helped, you must surrender your need for control over the situation that is on your mind. Hand over your concerns and the entire situation to your spiritual allies. When you do so, you will allow angels of light to swoop in and help everything transform. If you find yourself having difficulties letting go of the reins, it's because there's a part of you that's not willing to receive the help or miracles you deserve. Hand over all of your concerns to the universe and let the miracles in. Ooh, okay, Kyle Gray, surrender. So as usual, if you want to see the card, follow me over on Instagram or Facebook at Medium in the Middle on both. If you are an iTunes user, I would love and appreciate a rating and a review. Thank you so much to those who do leave a review. It really helps me out in the podcast world. If you liked this episode or any of my episodes, please share them with a friend. If you share it on Instagram, please tag me. I love to see your posts of you listening, and I will repost and share. If you want to register for a Reiki course, as a reminder, the link is in the show notes. Those will not last long, so come learn the gift of self-healing or expand into level 2. And that's all for this week. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed that story. My name is Stephanie. I am the medium in the middle, and I will be back next Tuesday in your ears with another episode. Until then, stay in touch on Instagram, and I will see you all next week. Bye, guys. Have a good one.